Here are the answers to test 5, practice set 5. Question number 1. Marco walks from his house to a friend's house by traveling 10 blocks north. So here he is walking 10 blocks north. And then he walks 8 blocks east. So this is his friend's house. How many blocks did he walk? He walked 18 blocks, but he realizes that there's a shorter distance if he cuts across. How do you find out what that distance is? Yeah. So the distance squared is equal to 8 squared plus 10 squared. So 64 plus 100 is 164. Take the square root of that and you get, anyone?
D, 12.8.
12.8. Questions? So you might see this question on your test on Monday, and it might be, Marco is walking to his friend's house by traveling 8 blocks north and 7 blocks east. So I'm going to change the numbers around, but it's the same problem. You'll remember. Number 2, the diameter of a circle is 12 inches. So what do you know about the radius then if it's 12? If the diameter is 12? That means the radius is half that, 6. And what's the formula for area of a circle? Pi r squared. So pi times 6 squared. Anyone have an answer for me?
113.
113.1 H. Good job. Number 3, in triangle ABC shown below, AC, they tell you is 10, AB, which I love when they do pictures like this because I'm not a big reader. They want to know CB. What theorem will help us figure out CB? Pythagorean. AC squared plus CB squared is going to give us AB. Now you don't have, when you're doing your test, you know you don't have, I'm just writing this out to show you. So 10 squared plus CB squared is equal to 5 root 13 squared. Well, this is going to give you 100. Now, do you guys know how to square that? You're going to do 5 times 13, which is 325. Then you want to isolate, whoops, this should be a plus sign. This should be a plus sign. Swing 100 over. You get 225. Square root both sides, and the square root of 225 is 15. The answer is B. B is the correct answer. Now, think about if you're running out of time, and they say you have 5 minutes remaining, and you have 10 questions left. Common sense tells you that this side better be a number less than 5 root 13. So you might be able to, if you had to guess, you might need, instead of doing all the math, maybe if you're in a pinch, you can do that. What about number 4? Volume is length times width times height. You should have gotten K for that answer. Okay, number 5 was kind of cool. We have a rectangle. And the area is 48 inches squared. So what numbers multiply to give you 48?
8, 6.
1 times 48, let's start with that. 2 times 24. 3 times 18. What else?
4 times
3
12.
times 16.
4 and 12.
3 times
16.
16. Thank you. 4 times
12.
12, and 6 times 8. That's all of them. So now, what does perimeter mean? Perimeter
Adding up all the
means
sides.
you take these measurements and multiply them by 2 and add 2 times, so it's 2L plus 2W. So if you do all of these, one of them shows up in your list, and it's this one right here, that one. it ends up being 2 times 24 is 48 plus 4 is 52. This is the only one that shows up. Number 6, the area of a parallelogram is found by multiplying the base times the height. So what is the base? 11 times 6 is 66. Number 7, all sides of a rhombus have the same length. Did you know that? It's like a square that's tilted. The angles are not the same. But the diagonals here, they intersect, I don't know if you know this, but the diagonals intersect at 90-degree angles. Did you know that? So if they're telling you that one of the diagonals is 12 inches, I'm gonna do this one as 12. So this is 6, and this is 6, and then this is 18, so this is what? 16, I'm sorry, 8 and 8. So if you wanna find this side, you have a right triangle. 8, 6, and what would that be? Anyone know?
D.
You get 36 and 64 is 100 square root, and you get 10. It is. Next one. You have a rectangular lawn, and this lawn measures 30 by 60 meters. They're gonna put a sundial. And the sundial on the lawn, it has a diameter of 15 meters. So what is the radius? 7.5. They want to know what is the approximate area of the lawn that's not covered by this sundial right here. I want this area. So the goal is to do this. You want the area of the whole thing. You're going to take the area of the square, and you're gonna subtract the area of the circle. So this is testing you on the formula area of a rectangle and the area of a circle. So the area of the square is length times width. So what is 30 times 60? Is 1800. And then the area of the circle is pi r squared. And I think this is 177.2, and when you subtract them, you get closest to J. Questions, anyone? What kind of angles do these two angles form?
By 90.
What do they form?
90.
90, they're complementary. In case they say complementary, that adds to be 90. Sammy?
Do we just assume that? Because there's no like squares.
I know, I agree. I would assume it. You're going to have to unless they tell you. What they should have done was that. That's what they should have done. Or they should have said, these two angles are complementary. I'm gonna assume it. So you're gonna do 3z plus 2z, set them equal to 90. If it says supplementary, they add to be 180. So 5z is 90, and what's z? 18. So what do you do now? This is an expression, 3 times z, well z is 18, so you get 54. And 2 times 18 is 36. So what's the correct answer? A.
Can't you just add those two together and get 90?
What do you mean?
Wait, never mind, I don't know it.
Well, what you could have done to find this one is you could have subtracted, once you found one of them, you could subtract that from 90 to get 36. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know, I didn't do that, but I don't know what I did.
How did you do
But
it?
I got A.
How'd you get A?
I thought I added them.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You add 3z and 2z, you get 90. You get z is 18.
I didn't do that, I didn't add, like
Huh.
I didn't multiply anything.
Yeah, well,
I think you added up the numbers and then the first one you did was A. Like in 36 and 54 is 90.
Oh, yeah,
Because
because
it's
okay, let's look at these answers. These two add up to more, that's not a possibility. that adds up to 90, and this is gonna be in the garbage.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, did you guess?
No, I added them.
Well, these all add to be 90, right?
Maybe that's just the first one you
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, maybe, you got lucky. This is how you do it. Number 10, you've got a square inscribed in a circle. Well, what does a square mean? It means all the sides are the same. They want to know what is the diameter of this circle. So what I did was I drew this right there. That's your diameter. Well, if each of the sides is 6 units, what kind of triangle do you have? Here's your triangle. 6, 6. What kind of triangle is this? It's a 45, 45, 90. And you learned that when you have a 45, 45, 90, the hypotenuse, which this would be the hypotenuse, is the square root of 2 times the leg. And there's your answer. So the diameter is 6 root 2. What if they said, what's the radius? What would you do? Take that. If they asked you what the radius is, take that and divide it by 2, so it'd be 3 root 2. So I'm giving you some other perspective of that problem. Number 11. So what you have here is a fabric, a piece of fabric. In this fabric, we're going to sew a circle in here. But the circle, this fabric is 9 by 12 right now. Right now it's 9 by 12. But we've got to take off 3 feet from this dimension and 3 feet from this dimension. So now if you took 3 and 3 from here, what you have is, what's left? 3. Then you're going to take 3 feet from each of these sides. So take 3 off here and 3 off this side. Okay? So this 12, if you take 3 and 3, that's 6. This is going to be 6. So what you have here, this is the area that you have to work with, which is 3 by 6. So what's the biggest circle that you can put? The circle would be, it would have this would be your radius.
Your diameter?
I mean your diameter. Your diameter. So what would be your radius? What's half of 3? 1.5, because they want the maximum radius, so it'd be 1.5. Number 12, they give you this picture, and do you know what these 2 lines mean? That they're the same length. If you would have had 1 here and 2 tick marks there, they would not be the same. So given this picture, I know that if this is angle, if that's 35, so is this. This is 35. How would I figure this angle right here?
Subtract it from.
You're gonna take 180 and subtract it from what? 70, because it's 35 and 35, so it's 110. H. Number 13, I like this question. This has to deal with straight lines and vertical angles. What did you learn about in geometry about vertical angles?
You're your friend. No math.
37, this would be 37. These are vertical angles. And this would be 63. These are vertical. What else did you learn? You have a straight line here. So these 3 angles will add up to be 180, these 3. So if I wanted to find this angle right here, I'm going to add these 2 or these 2 up. 63 and 37 is 100. Subtract that from 180, you get 80. So this angle's 80 and this angle's 80. So now, guess what? We can figure out any combination we want. They want to know what angle LPN is. They want this angle right here. So what are you going to do? 80 and 37 is 117. And that would be E. Number 14. The area of a living room in a house is going to be triple. So here's our living room. Right now, Before construction, the room is 12 by 16. So what is the area of this room right now? What is 12 times 16? Anyone do it? It is 192. That's the area of the room right now. But we want to triple this area. What does tripling an area mean? If you triple this area, what are you doing? You're multiplying it by 3. So what's 192 times 3? It's 576. So we want this room now to be 576. And they tell you that the width is increased by 4 feet. So we went from 12 to, we're going to increase this by 4. This is now going to be 16. 12 plus 4 is 16. So what would this dimension have to be for this to make sense? So you do 16 times x, huh?
36.
It's 36. Yes, you divide by 16 and you get 36. How many picked letter K for the answer? Anyone? A couple of you guys, it's the wrong answer. What's the right answer? Read the question. And this is what we tend to do. These are little tricks. What does it say? What are they asking you for? How much did it increase? So, yes, this is 36. But how did you increase it from 16 to 36? They're asking you, what is the length increase? And the answer is 20. From 16 to 36, you added 20. The answer is G. It's a shame that you know how to do the problem. You just got to take a little bit of caution when you read these and make sure, maybe underline. They want to know what the increase is. They're not asking you what the length is. And the last one. You guys learned that when you have a straight line, what does 3 and 4 give you? It's 180. And what is x and 4? These are equal to each other. So this angle x equals angle 4, right? These two parallel lines cut by a transversal, alternate interior angles are congruent. So this is equal to 4. So they're asking you, which of the following angles is supplementary to angle x? Well, it would be angle 3. Because this is really like angle 4. So 3 and 4. Yes, consecutive. Yep. So the answer is C. We are done with this test. Chapter 5 is done. Now, yank out your Kaplan.